Good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to come and talk to you today about something that has come up a lot recently with a bunch of my clients, and that is gut issues. It costs nothing to help improve your gut function. So, with that said, our gut function can be impaired by many things. The one thing that I'm really good at and know that it can make a difference is connective tissue and breathing. Breathing is so important, but it's important to keep us alive, but it's equally as important to our digestive system. So here's what I have to say. Most of us are sitting and we're slouching and we're sitting on our phones and we're driving our cars and we're sitting at our desks slouching forward, or we're laying on our beds slouching, leaning forward. Everything is a slouch. Slouching causes the shoulders to roll up on top of the rib cage and has the elbow back behind the spine. So you have this kind of a thing going on. So when this shoulder blade slightly comes up and pushes down on the ribs, it closes the spaces between the ribs, restricting the ability for us to breathe. Now, why is breathing so important to digestion and any gastrointestinal issue? Well, there's two main reasons why breathing is so vitally important to digestion. One is your vagus nerve. Most of you don't know that. A bunch of you do. Two, your esophagus, the tube that goes down and brings the food in past your diaphragm to your stomach, which is over here, not here. This is your liver. So you have a tube that goes down through your diaphragm. There's a hole in your diaphragm. It's called a sphincter. Now, if your ribs are pinched and your shoulders are pushing down on your ribs, the only thing you can do is lift up to breathe. And by not having your diaphragm open and close, it doesn't allow the sphincter to fully close on the esophagus, which then allows stomach acids to come back up. Now, also with having your ribs pinched and your shoulders hunched forward, your ribs sit down more on top of your pelvis, which then restricts the amount of space you have for all of your organs. This does include your small intestines and your large intestines and how they go out. Now, if everything's crunched and pinched and there's not a lot of movement through the tissues, that means there's not a lot of movement of fluids through those tissues. And when we don't get fluids moving through the tissues, or tissues not moving, fluids moving through the tissues, therefore food moves slower, if at all, through those organs that reside within those tissues. Are you following me here? Okay, we left off with our shoulders being hunched and restricting space and movement of tissues through the abdomen, including the bowels and all of the organs. So if there's restricted movement of tissues and therefore restriction of fluids going through the tissues, then it's likely that that restriction of blood, lymph, and substances that we consume will also be restricted. Now, breathing will help improve digestion, improve movement of the tissues, and massaging the spine and massaging all of your organs with every breath you take. And if you were to stand in a doorway with your hands in a W, elbows down beneath your hands, straight up and down, and lean through and open your chest, it will allow your shoulders to rest down and back a little bit easier, which then opens up the spaces between the ribs, giving the diaphragm the ability to open and close more efficiently. But we, you, myself, anyone who wants to help how our bodies function, we need to actually pay attention and put a focused, concerted effort into breathing slower and deeper, deep within our belly and our back. Our diaphragm wraps around the front of our spine and it pulls, and the little tissues come off the sacrum. You use that, you pull down, and it looks kind of like, and this might take me 2 or 3 deep breaths to do it. There's an abbreviated version for you. So, when you do your deep breathing, you want to really focus on not getting movement here. And really getting the movement in your belly. Once you can get the movement to your belly, then you need to slow it down. Slow it down so that you can work on, you feel a little, but the goal is to fill the pelvis, the back, the belly, the chest. And then as you exhale, it leaves the chest, the belly, the back, the pelvis. And to do this, you really must do it on a slow inhale count of at least 3 full seconds, and as much as 5 to 10 seconds, if you can do it comfortably. We're talking about comfort here. This is not supposed to be some horrible thing that you have to do. This is supposed to help and calm you. So you start where you start. If you're only at a second, so be it. You're at a second for your inhale. But work on getting the movement in your belly, not in your chest, not in your shoulders, so that you can improve your digestion. Another thing to focus on is breathing while you're eating. I'm neurotic and I pay attention to almost everything. I pay attention to when I'm breathing, when I'm not breathing. I've been paying attention to my breathing and trying to bring it up to 80% of my conscious day when I am not speaking, focused on slow, deep breathing, getting motion through the tissues of the entire torso and getting the movement of fluids to all of my organs to improve their functioning and optimize my body. But if I catch myself not breathing while I'm eating, I can guarantee 98% of you are not breathing while you're eating. And if you're not breathing while you're eating, you're sending down large chunks of food that then go into your stomach. And you've probably been drinking a lot of water, which then dilutes your stomach acids. So you send down large chunks because you're not breathing, because you're just scarfing, into diluted stomach acid, which can't break down these large chunks. It's supposed to get itty bitty little masticated granular pieces of food so that it can then use the acids in the stomach to break it down even further and then send it into your small intestines. But if you sent down too big a chunk into your stomach with diluted stomach acid, and it makes it into your small intestine has nothing to be able to break those giant pieces down. And then you compound large chunks of food that can't be broken down and lack of movement of tissues and fluids. You then have a putrid, nasty, toxic swamp in your guts. And then that causes leaky gut because it's got to perforate. That's why we get gas. That's every time we get gas, that's our body saying, I don't like what you did. Get that out. So think about it. Slow down how you eat. The foods you're eating might not be that bad. But if you're having issues, you need to consider taking 3 slow, deep breaths with every single bite of food. And that is guaranteed to give you at least 30 chews for every bite that you then swallow. And your stomach knows what to do with it because it's already small enough. And your stomach's like, woohoo, I don't have a whole lot to do. Life is good. And then it sends it on to the rest of you and things start to get better. It doesn't happen overnight. But if you don't start now, it's never going to get better. So please start belly breathing and then breathing down into your back and your pelvis and make it a full body breath. Feel the expansion through all of your tissues. And if you can visualize feeling the movement of every tissue in your body, then you're improving the function of every tissue and organ in your body. Thank you all. I love you. I hope someone uses this and it helps their tummy issues.